Hello, this is Kaylin Smith, and this is my Linguistic Odyssey for Anthropology 385, Language and Culture. My name is Kaylin, and I was born in Gießen, Germany. I used to speak German, but then when my parents and I moved back to the United States, no one spoke it around me, so I forgot it. I am 20 years old and I am studying anthropology. Actually, why I decided to major in anthropology is because I was watching the show Bones, and I knew she was a forensic anthropology, but I didn't really know anything else about the discipline. And then there's an episode where she also mentions she's a cultural anthropologist, and I googled it and decided that it sounded like something I wanted to do. And I went to an early college, so I was lucky enough to take intro to anthropology and a class on ethnographies when I was still in high school, and then I decided that anthropology was definitely for me. I live with my mom, my dad, and my younger sister Nichelle. We are a military family, so we have moved around a lot. And I remember, though, in early childhood, every night before going to bed, my mom would read our devotionals with us, and then we would all pray together. And that's one of my earliest memories of reading, is reading the devotional and reading Bible scriptures every night. As I previously mentioned, my dad is in the army and he was stationed in Germany when I was born. He also speaks Spanish, so I grew up in the house hearing that, even though I do not speak Spanish. But he will come up to me and my sister and my mom and say words and phrases in Spanish. Even though we don't understand, I've kind of learned from context clues now when he wants me to walk away or go lock the door or pick up the food or go to my room in Spanish. My mom is currently a sixth grade science teacher, but she also writes on the side, and that's how I first learned about poetry really is through my mom, who writes poetry and short stories. For a while, she also wrote for a local newspaper in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and as I grew up, it inspired me to write. Speaking has always made me a little bit nervous. I was always afraid I was going to say something wrong or I would sound weird, but I've always loved acting, and I guess for me it feels different because I wasn't saying my own words, the words are already written, I was just reinterpreting them. The last play I did was the Vagina Monologues here at UNCG, but before that, in my senior year of high school, I did Fences. I played Raynell. I first learned Arabic at Cumberland International Early College High School. I picked this language because I didn't want to learn Mandarin Chinese, and I didn't want to be in the Spanish classes because they were way too big, because everyone wanted to take Spanish because it was the easier of the three options they decided. I also wanted to take it to feel closer to my dad, who was stationed in Kuwait when I was in high school. I also feel like you can't really learn a language if you're just doing it because you think it's the easy language, or if you don't care about the culture. I really enjoy learning about the culture as much as I learning about the Arabic language, and I'm still currently taking it here at UNCG, and I hope to one day become fluent enough.
Beckham في رسمي التخرج لمدرسة كاملين الدولية الثانوية للتعليم الجامعي المبكر صف 2017.
Estamos aquí esta noche para celebrar nuestros logros como clase y como individuos. Estamos muy alegres que ustedes, nuestros padres, amigos y maestros, estén aquí para celebrar con nosotros.
你们的祝贺可以最好的形式举行掌声知道，最好一名毕业生一杯奖励他的文凭。
I like using Arabic whenever I can. I like writing my notes in other classes in Arabic. I like writing things in Arabic. I speak it. I've taught my sister a few words and phrases. I changed all my contacts in my phone in Arabic because I like seeing it, so I hopefully don't forget the vocabulary I learned. Also, when my dad was stationed in Kuwait, he brought me back money from Kuwait and he brought me back books in Arabic. He also brought me the English version, so I like reading through it to help me um, learn to read in Arabic. Also, my dad is a big fan of Middle Eastern foods and spices and coffee, so he orders his coffee from the Middle East, and there's a little restaurant in Fayetteville that has Arab food, and whenever we go in there, they have all the TV channels in Arabic, and I like trying to read it and listen to it for words I know and understand. I went to the early college and I took one of my upper level anthropology courses there. On ethnographies, we got to interview the foreign language teaching assistants, and I interviewed Joy, and she was from South Korea. And I really fell in love with the culture and the aspects in Korea, and she is the reason I got into K-pop when I asked her about music. And so through that, of what she's taught me, and then when I listen to music in Korean, I've picked up a few words that I recognize that they've said a lot. And so I think it's really cool that language and music, how they flow. I've read a lot of people, they get mad at K-pop fans for wanting to learn Korean, and I don't understand that because I think any reason you can find to learn a language is a good reason too, and there shouldn't people be penalized for wanting to learn a language because they like listening to the music and they want to understand their favorite K-pop idols. And lastly, when I was younger, I was constantly told that I didn't speak black, that I sound white, and that's something I've always carried with me. Like, how do you speak a color of my skin, and it was something I always felt insecure about and that I didn't like speaking because I was told I didn't sound like this community that I thought I was part of and I wanted to be a part of, but then I was ostracized for not being like them. And furthermore, when I was in high school, I got really sick, which led me to spending lots of time in the hospital, and I spend lots of time in the hospital now. I do identify as disabled because not all disabilities are visible, but through this, I've had to learn to change my language. A lot of people argue person first language, but in some disabled communities, they want the label of the disability because it's part of them. You can't take away what makes you you. So I've learned it just depends, but I've also had to change my vocabulary to have doctors understand me, or when I talk to doctors about my symptoms versus when I talk to my professors about it for accommodations, it's very different. And I found myself often thinking in terms of medical because that's what I'm around a lot, and that's become who I am.